What is going on, everybody? 𝐃𝐑𝐄 here with the Northeast Georgia Real Estate Podcast. As you can see, we got a new setup, so we're trying some new things in the office today. But I'm honored to have a new guest. Today we got Noah Parker with Pest Authority, one of the leading pest control companies here in the Athens market. And this is going to be pretty important for you guys. The reason I brought Noah on is because there's one of the best tips that he's going to provide to you today is really thinking of your pest control as more of a maintenance item instead of a reactionary item. So don't miss this podcast today. Welcome, first-time guests and loyal listeners to the Northeast Georgia Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, 𝐃𝐑𝐄, and I'm here to guide you through the real estate landscape across our region. Whether you're a buyer, seller, investor, or just plain curious, this podcast is going to be your go-to source for local insights. We explore real estate trends, economic forecasts, and highlight local businesses. You can expect expert interviews and valuable discussions to help you make informed decisions in the Northeast Georgia property market. So sit back, relax, and let's enjoy this crazy journey into the real estate market together. All right, so Mr. Noah, I know a little bit about you. Obviously, you know who I am. So why don't you do me a favor and just kind of give me the whole background on who you are, what you do, and why you do it.
All right, so my name is Noah Parker. Obviously work for Pest Authority. Been in the Athens area for a few years now and been with Pest Authority / Mosquito Authority for, I would say about 2018 is when I first started with them. Tried a couple other things, but wound back in pest control and love it. So as far as our company, our parent company, Mosquito Authority, was started in 2002 by 𝐃𝐏𝐈𝐒𝐿. It started in North Carolina and it was eventually franchised out. Our owner, Brad Danowski, is a UGA graduate and thought, you know, what better place to start a franchise than Athens?
Absolutely.
So he is currently a resident of St. Simons Island, Georgia, and it just kind of expanded from there. So we've got the St. Simons territory, the Athens territory, Augusta, Macon, Gainesville. I mean, we're all over now.
Fantastic.
You know, it's been kind of a growth there. But starting with Mosquito Authority, we used to just specialize in mosquito. I mean, that's really all we did was provide fantastic mosquito solutions to our customers. In the past few years, we branched out and established Pest Authority. And that has been slowly growing and taking off now. So we kind of had a thought. It was, how can we better serve our customers' needs? Because people are always asking us, oh, you do mosquito, can you help with the roach too?
Yeah.
Well, we couldn't. So Pest Authority allows us to be more comprehensive in our approach with our customers and provide a wider range of services.
Okay, good stuff. And so you're one of the business development representatives within Pest Authority, right?
Absolutely.
And so what all does that entail for you? Are you actually treating individuals' homes, or are you more just trying to essentially find more clientele, or what does that look like?
I'm doing both.
Okay, fantastic.
Doing both. Personally, I feel that doing both allows me to stay grounded in what I'm doing. You know, if I'm just selling all day long, it can remove me from the essence of what it is that I'm selling, which is pest control solutions for our clients. You know, I've worked in sales positions before where you are very removed from the process, but it helps me think about, you know, going into anything business development related. How are we going to tackle this issue? How can we actually solve their problems? How can we be unique in our approach? Those are things that really help me in doing a dual role. As far as business development, my day-to-day is, of course, taking care of the treatments that I need to take care of, but also searching and prospecting with property management companies, real estate agents, home inspectors for new business. And a lot of our new and recurring business has come from fantastic referrals lately.
Referrals is always the name of the game. So you said your owner of your company or the franchisee, so he originally went to UGA, and you know, we see a lot of UGA grads wind up coming back or trying to plant their flag with any of the businesses that they start after the fact. So I always love seeing that and hearing about it too. You know, anybody that is a local to Athens, I think there's something to be said about trying to like do business with other business owners that also went to UGA, because obviously we're a college town. So I think that's always kind of neat. So how long have you been a part of the Athens community?
Since 2018.
Okay, and where were you at before that?
Valdosta, Georgia.
Valdosta.
So originally went to Valdosta State, moved up here for, I guess, better opportunity, and ended up, an original plan was here to Atlanta, and I just got entrenched in the community here, and I absolutely love it. And Pest Authority, for me, personally, has provided a great avenue to continue living in the community and grow a great network of both friends and colleagues.
That's good stuff, man. I know I actually came here to the Athens area in 2018 as well, the tail end of the year. So we're right about the same time frame.
All right, man.
So what are some ways that either you personally or the company as a whole participates in the community?
Well, in particular, we're always looking for ways that we can give back.
Okay.
That's a big part of who we are. We are very proud to be a sponsor of Advantage Behavioral Health, for example. They support mental health efforts in the community, and they provide an amazing service. They provide low or no cost mental health services to people who really need it.
Okay, awesome.
And most recently, we supported their annual 5K, which was fantastic. Along with that, we're a proud sponsor of the Athens Farmers Market. So we do that as well. We'll go out and set up a booth and, just go see people in the community. So that's another way that we kind of give back to the community. Okay, well, very cool. I know that we're a part of some similar organizations, such as the local Chamber of Commerce. Huge aspects of both of our businesses. I know that. Now, I do have a business-specific question for you. So you mentioned that you originally got started, or your company originally started as Mosquito Authority. Correct. So what is the actual process? And I'm sure some of the listeners are probably curious about this too. What is the process to treat mosquitoes? Because I always was under the impression you just have to have a screened-in porch. Yeah, that's one way to do it. Another way would be to never go outside. That's also a good one. If you have a pool, you could stay submerged underwater with a straw, and just stay under there. But as far as treating goes, there's actually multiple ways in which we and other companies treat. But specifically, we started with a blower and treating the outside perimeter and inside foliage around the house. The way that it works is we apply a pesticide, of course, that sticks to the undersides and oversides of leaves where mosquitoes hang out. Gotcha. Right? Is that the fog application that I usually see? Yes. Okay. That's it. So we use it. It's a big kind of steel blower that we put on it. It's got a 4-gallon tank on the back, and it's a mister, right? So it mists out into the yard, and we focus primarily on the foliage on the outside and then the inside. Mosquitoes land on these leaves, and then no more mosquitoes. Fantastic. And there's a lot of processes that we use to mitigate our environmental impact doing those things. Our technicians industry-wide are trained heavily on reducing the impact to local wildlife and streams and things of that nature. Along with that, we're really excited to introduce an all-natural option that we use. So we actually have a dedicated blower that we use solely for an all-natural product. There's no pesticide in it. And there's a long list of ingredients that are derived from perfectly natural pesticides. So, for example, the chrysanthemum plant produces a natural insecticide. Right, and that's what a lot of our modern day pesticides are derived from. They're very similar to that natural pesticide, but for our natural option, we use a bunch of different ingredients that really, if you took any single one of them and put them into a pot, you could basically cook with it. Right, it's that safe. Harmless for the most part. Yeah, so we're very excited about that. A lot of people in the community have been hesitant about putting pesticides in their yard. Yeah, I can imagine. So this has been a great opportunity to introduce that. One other option that we have is our live system that we are just now rolling out. It's these little, just units that we put around the property that we fill with a repellent. and we can situate them all along the yard. They're Wi-Fi activated, and so we can monitor them remotely and go refill the repellent whenever they get low, and then the customer can go on their phone and decide when they want mosquito protection.
Oh, wasn't that neat?
Exactly.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, man.
It's always neat to hear new technology stuff that's coming out. So what would you say in your individual path with Pest Authority? Is there any like one pivotal moment that you can lean on, or maybe a couple where you're just like, man, to me that really solidified what success was? Can you think of any of those?
Yeah, man. I would say it was the first time we signed on with a big property management company.
Okay, right on. Tell me about that.
So it came as a referral. My boss being really good friends with Scott Talley at Red and Black Rentals.
Yep.
And watching that process unfold and being in the midst of that and taking on so much new business at one time really showed me what's possible in this industry as far as growth is concerned.
Yeah.
Partnering with people in the community and leveraging the relationships that you've built to help grow your business. I mean, seeing that firsthand, I've always heard like, oh, you got to do this and this and this, but watching it unfold in front of me and translate to new business, I mean, I wish I could bottle up that feeling.
Well, it stops being theory at that point, and it's actually practical.
Exactly.
And I think that's one of the biggest light bulb moments for most salespeople. It's like, okay, you're sitting here telling me how to make all this money or do all of these things or make this widget or whatever the process is.
Right.
But it's like, until you can actually put it into effect and actually get the result, it's all just like up in the air.
Exactly.
And then it's even better when you can like understand the process and then you go repeat it. So would you say like after you saw it, then you would say, man, I believe that this works. And now did you feel that you could go do that again after the fact and continue to rinse and repeat?
100%. I mean, once you start getting those small wins,
yeah,
it's like every obstacle that looked like a door is unlocked. Right, and you're just able to go through those. You're able to navigate, roadblocks so much easier. Whereas before, those roadblocks felt insurmountable.
Yeah, it was like Mount Everest.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like perhaps you're cold prospecting. You're going into a property management company, and the receptionist is just not having it. They're like, "What do you want? We've got a million pest control companies. Who are you?" And it's really easy to get wrapped up in that, and let that affect your sense of self. Like, oh, am I that ugly? Like,
Yeah, the self-doubt starts kicking in.
Yeah, exactly. And you start to, but it's never you. It's never you. Everybody's got their own thing going on. And sometimes you just have to be consistent and push through.
Yeah.
And in my personal, or in this career, it's, when consistency is rewarded, right? Like visiting over and over and over again, handling those rejections, and then on the other side of that, seeing a return, making that sale, or becoming a trusted partner with a property management company. I mean, it's beautiful.
Oh yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
And I think in any sales related business, the sooner that somebody can understand that it's all about just getting the reps in.
Yeah.
So like we get so attached to the results, and the result is actually a lagging indicator. It's like, how many transactions did you do, or how many new accounts did you sign up? But the question is like, what is the activity that generates the result?
Right.
So with that, it's like, how many conversations did I have? How many new doors did I knock on? How many new calls did I make? And when you can quantify that, eventually you'll have enough data to where you say, hey, this number of conversations equals this number of new accounts. And then at that point, it's all math. And so that was for me what turned the light on, or turned the switch for me to be like, oh, okay, so it doesn't really matter like if I have a bad conversation. I just need to go have more conversations.
Exactly.
And so that was, for me, one of the most pivotal parts of like just any kind of sales process in general.
Well, then those rejections become part of the overall process.
Absolutely.
They don't define what it is that you're doing anymore.
Yep.
Because when you're first starting out, you're going to face a lot of rejections. But after that win or subsequent wins, you're like, wait a minute, Yeah, this is part of it. This is part of the game, you know. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, once you get over that hurdle and you start stacking a couple of those wins. For me, that was when it really did start to get fun. But until then, I can totally understand the frustration behind where it's like, oh, sales sucks.
This isn't to say it's not a very frustrating experience, and even people who are very seasoned in sales, you get bogged down.
Oh yeah.
You know, with that self-doubt or changing market conditions, and that's when you just kind of have to trust the process and continue on.
So what would you say, since we're kind of on the same topic, what would you say some of the main challenges that you've had, that you've overcome?
The main challenges are kind of the things I already spoke about, that self-doubt aspect.
Yeah.
You know, asking myself, am I able to do this? I mean, especially in the beginning when you weren't, or when I wasn't seeing the fruits of my labor yet.
Yeah.
I would say that was the biggest challenge, was myself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like the opportunity was there. I just had to get out of my own head and seize it. On top of that, from an industry perspective, I mean, every market that we operate in is different, and so is every client that we have.
Yeah.
So as far as biggest challenge, every day is its new biggest challenge.
But that's what keeps it interesting too, I would assume.
Exactly. I mean, you're always, especially in this industry, what makes it so exciting is it's a huge problem-solving industry. And a lot of people have misconceptions about pest control. When you think of pest control, you might think, oh, they're just going to come spray something on the outside of my house, leave, and that's it. Or maybe if I need them to, they'll come spray something inside. There's so much more to it than that, right? I could sit here and create a novel about the number of techniques that we use to control pests.
Yeah.
And it is, going into this, I had that perception as well. I'm like, there's not a whole lot of things. Every day I learn something new, whether it's a new way to control a roach problem, whether it's a new way to control a rodent issue, so many things. So
what would you say sets you guys apart from, say, any of the other pest control companies that are in the area?
I would say just a very rapid response time and an office that is able to kind of be there for any issue that you have. So if you are a customer, a client, property manager, and you need something done quick, we'll be there in about 24 hours.
Okay,
sometimes the same day.
Yeah.
Right. So if you call somebody, it's not going to a random call center, and it's not going to go to voicemail. We've always got somebody to pick up and answer the phone and then respond very quickly. So because of the way we've set up our communications channels, or communication channels, we're able to just quickly respond to any issue, and I'd say that's one of the number one things that sets us apart. That and just professionals top down in the company that genuinely care about what they're doing and want to see a difference made in the issues that our customers have.
Well, it's good. I think the smaller the company, and it doesn't necessarily have to be like 1 or 2 employees, but like kind of the more boutique feel.
Right.
You get a lot more personal service than you would from big name box brands. Not saying that there's not value there as well, but they've scaled to the size that they have because it's very systematized, and you are going through a call center. You don't have that personal, like, one-on-one touch of like, hey, I'm going to get the same technician every time or something to that effect.
Right.
So there's definitely something to be said about that. So what do you guys do to stay on top of like changes in the market or changes in like what you're seeing as far as like maybe new technology that's come out, or new kind of chemical processes, or new, say, bug or rodent issues? Like, is there continued education that you guys do, or what does that look like industry-wise?
Absolutely. So we're actually required to continue training well after we receive our license.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if you know this, but this is an interesting tidbit. Georgia is the 3rd most regulated state for pest control in the country.
I did not know that.
So let me ask you, which 2 do you think are more regulated than us?
I would probably say California's at the top of that list, and then maybe New York.
That's correct.
Okay.
So we're 3rd there.
That's crazy.
But our state legislature has put in provisions, and other government bodies that preside over our environment have put protections in place for consumers, particularly, because these chemicals, if used improperly, can be dangerous, right? They can have adverse effects in the environment. So we adhere to those codes very closely, but along with that is the continuing education aspect. We're going to seminars, we're going to training, and we're learning new things and adapting and evolving. Along with that, I would say listening to our customers is probably the number one thing. We're always taking and implementing customer feedback, right? Some of it not so nice. We get calls, of course, that are kind of mean, and that's all right. We take that feedback and we take it to heart, genuinely, and we do our best to implement it in every aspect of our business.
Well, that's good stuff. I mean, I always like hearing that, and we have a lot of continuing education stuff that we have to do in the real estate industry as well, so I'm very familiar with the painstaking process of that. So as we kind of like wrap this up, I usually like to dive into what would be some tips for you specifically, being a sales guy. What would be some tips that you have to anybody that's maybe aspiring to get into a sales position, wants to really not have that ceiling on their income, or maybe just somebody that's in sales and they're not doing well? What would you tell them?
I would say don't give up. I mean, first and foremost, either don't give up or really learn your community. Learn the people in your community, and create relationships. So I think what a lot of salespeople focus on is just the sale, just making that money, but it's so much more than that. You have to meet people where they're at. You have to create relationships in your community. Now, every sales position is different. In what I do in my role, it's very relationship dependent. I'm always, it's not just I'm going to a chamber meeting, I'm also inviting a colleague out for coffee. I'm going and playing some pickleball, with people that I know in the chamber, and that's all part of it. And it makes the job very fulfilling in that way, adding that aspect. But as far as the advice that I would give, it's meet people where they're at, create relationships, and most importantly, don't give up.
Yeah, I think that's pretty strong. One of the things that I always tell my team is that there's a lot of, in my industry specific, being in real estate, there's a lot of agents and brokers that are very what we call transactional. Right. So just like you said, they only care about the sale, and then after that's done, you really never hear from them again. But like, there's so much to be said for, I know the life cycle of your guys' business, it's more like a monthly or quarterly or every other month kind of thing. So it's a lot more repetitive for us, individuals on the residential side. They might not buy a house for 5, 7, 10, or stay there their entire lives.
Right.
And on the commercial side, it can be even longer. It's obviously going to be industry dependent, business dependent, any needs that arise, that kind of stuff. So like our life cycle is going to be a lot longer, but if you don't have that relationship in place when somebody doesn't need something, and you haven't already like kind of built that groundwork of like, hey, you know me as the commercial real estate guy, I know you as the pest control guy. So that way, whenever somebody else does have or says like, man, I'm having this roach problem that's out of this world, I'm like, man, I know somebody that I got to introduce you to. He can take care of it like tomorrow.
Exactly.
And that's really where that relationship comes into play, because you can start really building that network throughout your community.
Exactly. I totally agree. And specifically in your industry, I mean, that follow-up is important. Maintaining the relationships with your sales, even whether they're in the house for 5, 10, 15 years, when they know somebody that wants to buy a house, who are they going to refer that person to? Yeah, absolutely. The person that stands out the most. Exactly. So as we wind down, is there any kind of special offer that you can give if anybody's watching this and they're like, man, I actually happen to have a pest control issue, I need to reach out to Noah? Are you guys able to provide anything like a discount or free consultation to come check out an issue or anything like that? Well, man, if you're asking, I would love to. Anybody who's watching your podcast today and mentions it, calls our office, we will give you your first treatment for free. Hey. So whether that's mosquito control, or if you want to do a quarterly pest control treatment, we will give you that first treatment for free if you mention the podcast.
That's awesome. So you guys heard it there. So other than that, if anybody wants to try to get a hold of you guys, what would be the best way to try to do that?
Probably email or phone.
Okay.
So you can email us at tmag@bugsbite.com, or I don't know our phone number off the top of my head.
Well, you can probably just Google that and just do Pest Authority in Athens, and then make sure to obviously say that you heard about them on the podcast. Reach out to Noah directly. Other than that, man, I've had a great time today. I appreciate you being on. I know sometimes the podcast situation can be a little nerve-wracking, but you did fantastic.
Thanks, man.
So that wraps it up for another episode of Northeast Georgia Real Estate Podcast. Make sure to check out the next one.
Cool.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Northeast Georgia Real Estate Podcast. Now, I need your help, guys. I am working towards an absolutely massive goal for next year of creating new opportunities that will allow me to not only serve my clients better, but help them achieve their commercial real estate goals as well. Key focus for 2025 is going to be for me to acquire 2 additional commercial properties, further expanding my investment portfolio and my impact in our community. This journey will allow me the freedom to spend more quality time with my family, which is the end goal. I'm sharing this in hopes of being able to connect with others who align with this vision. So if that's you, whether it's through partnerships, investing, networking, or new business opportunities, please let's connect and build something together. Thank you.